Okay, so today we're going to be going over my personal top 5 characters I want to see in Jump Force. For this list, I'll only be talking about characters that are not 100% confirmed for the game yet, and the focus will only be on series that are not 100% confirmed for the game yet. So while I do want them all to be added, no Gohan, no Hiei, no Kaiba, so on and so on. To start things off, let's talk about some honourable mentions. There are a lot of characters that could go in here, but I want to limit it to 5 semi-realistic ones and then just quickly blast through them. Ryotsu Kankachi from Kochikame. Kankachi gets the nod of respect from me here simply for legacy reasons. For me, it's hard to talk about a game that celebrates 50 years of Weekly Shonen Jump without showing some love to a series that was there for 40 years of it. The only thing keeping him off the main list is that he doesn't really fit the tone of the game. All of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I mean, there's not much to say here. They're for sure coming at some point. It's more of a question of when and who specifically, but ideally I'd like to get at least the first 4 JoJo's and Dio. Who knows, we could go a bit further than that, but they just missed the list because it's an obvious one. They're definitely going to be added. They don't need my vote. Sakata Gintoki from Gintama. There are a few series out there that I know people are crazy for, and they want them to get in so badly. Gintama is definitely one of them. The weird thing is, I'm quite a big fan of Gintoki as a character, and I think they could do a lot of fun stuff with his moveset. I feel like they didn't quite do him justice in J-Stars. But with that being said, I'm actually not a massive Gintama fan in general, so it's hard for me to put him on the list. Hinamaru Ushio from Hinamaru Zumo. This is an odd one. In general, I don't expect any sports manga to have any chance of getting in. But I think there is a lot you could do with Hinamaru in regards to his moveset, and I mean, he's a really awesome character. Plus, realistically, if you talk about power levels and power gaps between characters, Ryo Saber is an example of a character that Hinamaru, in terms of power level, would be incredibly close to, and I would say the gap between those two compared to the gap between Ryo and, say, Goku are drastically different. So the idea of Hinamaru being in the game isn't that far-fetched. Hinamaru Zumo is one of those series that I really do have a soft spot for, so even if I don't think there's a chance it'll be included, it really would be nice to get some kind of recognition for the series. Maybe, you know, character creation stuff or special skills, I don't know. But I would like just a little bit of recognition. Arale Norimaki from Dr. Slump. To round off the honourable mentions, a gag character, much like Gintoki but from a much older series. Arale is a pretty cool character all round. If you aren't familiar with Dr. Slump, you probably still saw her either in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super. And I mean, if we're talking about strength and power levels, she's definitely strong enough to fit the bill. But I wonder if maybe she's a bit too much of a gag character to justify her inclusion, especially with the super serious tone they seem to be going for with this game. I still really hope she gets in though. Okay, let's move on to the actual list itself. If anybody didn't make it on the list or into honourable mentions, no hate against that character or that series. I just had to set a realistic limit to keep this video manageable. Alright, we cool? So let's go. Kuga Yuma from World Trigger. I didn't actually read World Trigger until this year, and it ended up being one of the best things I did read this year. I like to pick up a lot of series, you know, download them on my phone, and then I can read them in the moments where I've got no internet, or I've got a quick 5-10 minutes where I'm not doing anything, and I just flick through the pages and see what's going on. World Trigger was one of many I picked up this year, but it manages to sit comfortably on this list alongside 3 other series I thoroughly enjoyed in 2018. It may seem strange that 4 of the 5 series on this list I only read this year, but a lot of the Shonen Jump series that I really do like have already been confirmed or are dead set to get in anyway, and I didn't really feel the need to include them. It's also worth mentioning that there are a lot of really awesome series in Weekly Shonen Jump that I do love, but can't realistically be in the game. I know I made an argument for Hinamaru Zumo, even though it was a sports manga, but series like Slam Dunk and Ice Shield 21 have no chance. And there are series from other genres within Shonen Jump where I just couldn't see it working. Stuff like We Never Learn, Video Girl Ai, Promise Neverland, Nisekoi. I couldn't see it working in this game, so I don't think they're going to get a place. For World Trigger, there is a ton of potential for characters. Sure, Yuma is a given, but I could definitely see Hyusei, Jin, maybe some of the neighbours, or the rest of the Tacoma First members. It's crazy to me how many damn characters there are in this series, to the point that it can be a little bit hard to keep up. Personally, I would love a combo unit where you can play as Mikumo but get support from Chika somewhere off in the distance. Maybe that's a bit too much, but I think it's a good idea. Having just returned from a long hiatus and switching magazines, people are talking about World Trigger again, and I think that bodes well for its inclusion in the game. I have a strong suspicion that a big part of why Ryo Saber from City Hunter ended up being announced so early was to capitalise on the hype from the release of the new City Hunter movie. So it wouldn't be absurd to think that other series could get announced because they're currently relevant within the Jump community. Kurakami Medaka from Medaka Box. I've seen a lot of people saying that Medaka needs to be in the game because we don't have enough awesome female characters added yet. And I agree, but only to a certain extent. That's because I absolutely loved reading Medaka Box, and I think Medaka is totally worthy of getting a spot in the game. But not to fill some sort of quota for female characters, but because she's fucking awesome. She's powerful as fuck, and she would not only look amazing, but with the amount of different moves she has within the series, would be so dope to play with. As for other characters from Medaka Box, that's a bit more difficult. There are a lot of well written and designed characters, but quite a few of them get power creeped out of the story later on. Kumigawa Misogi is an obvious choice because he is by far the most popular character within the series, and there are others I wouldn't mind seeing, Zenkichi, Najimi, maybe Kujira, but a lot of the latter arcs were just filled with characters that I just wasn't particularly a fan of, or I just straight up did not care about. So whether they get added or not, I'm not sure if I'm bothered. One cool thing is, I've noticed a big progression with a lot of the characters that were in J-Stars that are now in Jump Force. Some examples of this would be like the Bleach characters now having their 1000 Year Blood War versions, the Dragon Ball characters having their Dragon Ball Super versions, even Gon having his End of the Chimera Ant arc version. The reason this is cool is because the natural progression for Medaka would mean we could see any form from War God mode all the way to End God mode. And hey, if Zenkichi does somehow make it into the game, then we could even see him in Altered God mode. While we're on the topic of Medaka Box, there's this great scene between Najimi and Zenkichi where Najimi breaks the fourth wall once again to list off the names of a bunch of Shonen Jump protagonists and asks Zenkichi if that's the kind of main character he wants to be. I wonder just how many of the ones she named could actually make their way in. Tanjiro Kamado from Kimetsu no Yaiba. This one is really tricky for me. I would love so damn much to see Kimetsu no Yaiba in this game. But my main concern is that the anime is just around the corner. And Shueisha might not want any major techniques, abilities, characters, events spoiled before they appear in the anime. Of course I don't know that for sure, and if that isn't the case, then Tanjiro being in is an absolute must for me. And when it comes to other characters, there are a bunch that would be fantastic. But there's only one that I really care about, and that is Nezuko Kamado, Tanjiro's sister, and one of my favourite characters in Jump right now. It's possible that the two of them could be worked into one character, considering the way some of the fights unfold within the series, but what I wouldn't give to see both of them in Jump Force. If you haven't read Kimetsu no Yaiba, then you owe it to yourself. Go out there and give it a read. Or, if you prefer, you could just wait till the anime comes out, because that also looks awesome. Suguru Kinniku from Kinnikuman. This series is special to me. The old chapters don't have the greatest art. The story can be way too convoluted, even nonsensical sometimes, and at certain points it has fairy tale-esque levels of friendship power bullshit. But goddamn did I have fun reading it. I legitimately would still buy Jump Force if the only characters were the Idol Chojin and Akuma Shogun, but the reality is, I'm not sure what chance Suguru has of getting in, let alone the rest of them. If I was making this game, then damn, Suguru, Robin Mask, Terryman, Akuma Shogun, that would be the minimum amount of love I'd be willing to give this series. Another thing that comes up when you talk about Kinnikuman is the subject of Ultimate Muscle, or Kinnikuman Nisei. While, yes, it's not a part of Weekly Shonen Jump, and it's kind of even its own separate series from Kinnikuman in a similar way to Naruto and Boruto, could Mantaro still make his way into the game? Honestly, I don't think so. Dragon Ball Super seemed like an exception because it was just so damn popular and so relevant and so hot right now that they just couldn't exclude it if they wanted to make lots and lots of money. But technically, Mantaro did appear in one of the more recent arcs of Kinnikuman. FYI, Kinnikuman is still running to this day, though that might be a little bit misleading because there was a sort of almost 30-year gap at some point in the middle of the story, and, well, it's running in a different magazine, so in theory, anything that happens there wouldn't be eligible either. Look, at the end of the day, it's a damn cool series. I'm not going to tell you to go out there and read the whole thing, because it's quite long and some of the early scans are really poor quality. But it really is a classic. I really did enjoy it. And it has so much source material that you could adapt it to something awesome. What more could you want? Sawada Tsunayoshi from Katekyo Hitman Reborn. Long-time watchers of the channel will know that Katekyo Hitman Reborn is one of my favourite series of all time. I know it's not perfect, but I want to give you the context of why I love this series so much, in just a quick little history lesson about me. You see, when I was really young, like 4 or 5, I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Tenchi Muyo in the little anime slot that they showed before we went off to school. A bit later down the line, I'd get into series like Medabots, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Ultimate Muscle, and a few others that they had on UK TV. But then after that, for a few years, I just kind of stopped watching anime. Well, when I was a kid, I didn't even know it was anime. I just thought it was morning cartoons. I didn't really think much more about it. But then, one day, I went to my cousin's house and they were playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 on PS2. After playing that game for a little while, it suddenly all came flooding back to me. The memories of all the different anime I watched when I was younger. And from there, I decided to see what other series might be out there for me to watch. At the time, what I'd seen of One Piece and Naruto and their early dubbed stuff just looked really fucking annoying to me. I wanted something cooler, so I ended up going out and buying volumes of Bleach from Waterstones, and I fucking loved them. From there, I did a little bit of research, and I stumbled across a series called Kinnikuman Hitman Reborn. What a series. It starts off so strange, but it just gets better and better the more I get into it. It would be years before I finally went on from watching the anime to go on and read the Reborn manga for myself and experience Akira Amano's amazing art for the first time. But look, the point I'm making here is that Kinnikuman Hitman Reborn and Bleach were the first two series I went out and found for myself. I didn't just watch them because they were on TV and I was sat in front of the TV and so why not? I chose to read them. And they were awesome, so I kept reading. I'll never forget how happy I was when I found out there was a Bleach game for the Wii. I remember buying Bleach Shattered Blade secondhand and playing the absolute hell out of it. But I always wanted a Kinnikuman Hitman Reborn game, and the opportunity just never came around for me. I mean, there were Kinnikuman Hitman Reborn games out there, but at the time I didn't have the means to find them, let alone play them. It's true that Suna would be included in J-Stars, and even one of the Jump DS game, but I never had a PS3, and my local game store never had Jump Ultimate Stars in stock. But now, the opportunity is finally here. A game that's coming out on platforms that I own, that could have a beautiful HD Suna for me to play with. You've got to understand that this is something that I want bad. If I had my way, then we would get all the Vongola Guardians, for sure. And then maybe Zanzus, Byakuran, heck, we could... Enma. We could go even further. But, to be real with you, I don't see much more than Suna, Zanzus, and maybe Byakuran making their way in. But if we could just sneak a handful of Vongola Guardians under the radar, I would be so fucking stoked. There have been a lot of iterations of the Vongola Guardians and their abilities, and while I am quite partial to the Battle for the Vongola Rings, it would be very nice to see the Inheritance Ceremony arc or Curse of the Rainbow arc character designs in Jump Force. And one thing I would like to see for certain is the Arco Baleno pacifier as an equipable item for my creator character. Well, that's my list. I know some fan favourites aren't anywhere to be seen in this video, but like I said, this video is just my opinion, and you, of course, are entitled to yours, so let me know your top 5 series or characters that you want to see for Jump Force in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.